Okay, let's talk about the protests in Peru. And we're going to be looking exclusively at a very anti-Castillo, so-called liberal newspaper for this one, which is La República. They supported Castillo as like an anti-Fujimori vote sort of thing before the election, and now they're like, he's literally the devil. That's their sort of idea about everything. And they've been shitting on him his entire presidency. Because at the end of the day, a lib is going to be a lib, a neoliberal is going to be a neoliberal. So far there has been protests, not particularly like pro-Castillo protests, more like general protests against the incredible, horrible obstructionism of the Peruvian Congress that makes the country impossible to govern. And they've been going on for more than a week at this point. 17 people have been killed. The protests have been highly concentrated in very poor rural areas, obviously because Lima, the capital, is where like rich urban people, or at least richer middle-class urban people tend to live, who tend to favor right-wing stuff more because basically the Peruvian right wing is all about exploiting particularly poor people who live in the rural parts of the country. That's what it's all about. So there's literally fucking actual military army patrols like confronting protesters now. They're not just sending cops after them, they're sending the military after them. The government, including the new president, who is just complete right-wing collaborator at this point, she's totally in line with them, have refused to bring forward elections for either the Congress or the presidency. The Congress, of course, voted against calling elections a year early next year. Of course, they voted against possibly losing their own seats. Of course they did. And the president, the new president, she has said that she will graciously call for elections to take place in 2024, presidential elections in 2024. So after 2 years more of this, she will graciously allow people to finally vote for someone who can then get impeded by the Congress again. Truly fantastic. Really generous of her there. And yeah, even Vizcarra, if you don't remember, he was an earlier victim of the Congress. And he says right here that he thinks that what Pedro Castillo did was wrong. However, the Congress was impeding him and being a bunch of shitbags, etc. And then he says if the new president Dina Boluarte wants to do the right thing, she should tell Congress to immediately call elections for as soon as possible and just resign if they refuse to. Obviously, she's not going to do that because she's collaborating with them now. This is just how shit works in Peru. Like, Peru is not even allowed to have a generic centrist neoliberal government that isn't specifically a Fujimorist government, because the goal of this Congress, which is still dominated by Fujimorist and Fujimori-aligned parties, is specifically to impede anyone, no matter what actual politics they have, to get themselves in power, so they can then start a new Fujimorist dictatorship. That's the goal here. It doesn't matter if they agree with someone like Vizcarra on 95% of policy positions, as they did, because they want to go far further than just have, an elected president who believes in what they believe. They want an elected president who can then work with the Congress to essentially create another dictatorship. That's the goal here. That's the only way that you can explain them impeding even governments that are very ideologically aligned with themselves. 2 ministers have already resigned as well because they're sending the fucking military against protesters and shit. Protesters with very valid demands. Call fucking elections, at least call elections for the Congress and for the presidency again. Let people vote again now that it's more obvious than ever how fucking ridiculous this Congress is. Perhaps they can actually be replaced with one that could possibly function. Who knows? I doubt it though. But yeah, that's what has happened in Peru since Castillo was overthrown after his attempt to overthrow the Congress, which failed in reaction to the Congress trying to overthrow him for the third time. Pretty interesting. And yeah, it's all ridiculous. Peru is in a massively fucked up state because the far-right Fujimorists are even against allowing other right-wingers to govern. Like, the country is completely ungovernable in any way, shape, or form. And yeah, it's not going great for anyone right now.